In 1752, something strange happened. People in Britain went to sleep on September 2nd and woke up on September 14th. Not because of magic, not because of war, not because time stopped, but because the calendar changed. 11 days simply vanished. For ordinary people, it must have felt impossible. One day, it was September 2nd. The next day, it was September 14th. No September 3rd, no September 4th, no September 5th. Just gone. And imagine what that meant. If you were waiting for rent day, if you were counting wages, if you were tracking a birthday, or if you simply believed time was fixed. Suddenly, the system that measured your life had changed overnight. But this was not random. For centuries, Britain had been using the Julian calendar. It was old, it was familiar, and for most people, it felt normal. But there was a problem. The Julian calendar was slightly inaccurate, not by much, just a few minutes every year. But over centuries, those tiny errors added up. Slowly, the calendar began drifting away from the seasons. The dates no longer matched the movement of the earth as accurately as they should. So Britain decided to switch to the Gregorian calendar. Other countries had already done it earlier, but when Britain finally made the change, it had to correct the drift. And that correction meant removing 11 days from the calendar. So after September 2nd, 1752, came September 14th. On paper, it was simple, a technical adjustment, a mathematical correction, a way to make time more accurate. But for normal people, it didn't feel technical. It felt personal. Because calendars are not just numbers. They decide when we work, when we rest, when we pay, when we celebrate, when we age. They quietly organize almost every part of our lives. So, when 11 days disappeared, people did not just see a calendar reform. They saw authority changing time itself. Some people feared they were being cheated. Some believed days of their lives had been taken away. Others worried about wages, rent, contracts, and deadlines. Because when the rules of time change, everything built on top of time begins to feel unstable. And that is what makes this story so fascinating. No one actually lost 11 days of life. The sun still rose, people still breathed, the world still moved. But the system used to measure those days changed. And because of that, history remembers it as the year time disappeared. It shows us something strange about human life. Time feels natural, but the way we measure it is invented. Calendars, clocks, time zones, deadlines, working hours, they all feel permanent, but they are systems. And systems can change, sometimes quietly, sometimes suddenly, and sometimes with one decision, entire days can vanish from history. So the next time you look at a calendar, remember this. Time did not disappear in 1752, but 11 days did. And people were forced to realize something uncomfortable. They were not just living through time, they were living inside a system that defined it. And if this made you see things differently, don't forget to subscribe, like, and tell me what story you want next. Because here in Epistora, there is a story behind everything.